Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Robert Slavinsky, and with me today is Thor's true replacement, Kenneth Yambo. What's going on, my man?
What's up, buddy? I don't think I'm worthy of that title, but definitely try my best this week. So
Natalie Portman's got nothing on you.
I actually agree with that statement. So
all right, for those of you who are new to the show, our setup is pretty simple. The first 10-15 minutes of the show consists of a few hot topics from the past week. Could be reactions, reviews, or newsworthy items to discuss. The rest of the show is then dedicated to a main topic. Now, this week's main topic is Star Wars, What's Next? We will be discussing what is coming this year and beyond, and what our expectations are on how it will affect the overall franchise. If you're watching live, we encourage you to comment, to ask questions, jump into live chat, do some things there, because, it's fun. It's a fun thing. So
always more fun to have people participating. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get moving here since we do have quite a few things to talk about. We're gonna start off like we do every episode with a reaction, a review. We're gonna talk about Moon Knight, episode 4. This series so far has just been an absolute roller coaster. There's so many different things going on with this show, so many different feelings. Every episode, it's like I have a different feeling of how I feel about the show. How about for you, man? Like, what have been your thoughts, and what were your thoughts on episode 4?
Craziness, to put one word to it. Episode kind of unfolded the way that it did, and then when obviously Mark faced off with Harrow, and how that ended, I was expecting just the titles to come on, but nope. Marvel decided to just give us a complete 180 in terms of just what's going on. I'll be honest with you, since episode 1, and it's not a bad sort of confusion, I've just been confused, honestly, and it's like a intriguing sort of confused. Like the jumps in between personalities is something that, while originally I wasn't the biggest fan of it, I'm more of a fan of it now. Obviously, we got just a lot to talk about in those last, I want to say, 10, 15 minutes going on in there. I know that it borrowed from some iteration of the comic book with some loose interpretations, but what are your thoughts? Do you like? I don't know if you're as confused as I am, but definitely I have many questions following last night's episode. So,
yeah, believe it or not, I mean, I'm not all that confused. Not to the point where I'm like, I need to know what's going on. I'm going for the ride. I'm just sitting there. I'm saying, all right, take me on this journey. Let's see how crazy and off the wall this show can be. I was given all these Moon Knight comics to read, and I have yet to dive into them. So I think that's a benefit. That I don't have any kind of preconceived notion of what's going to happen or what I think should happen. This episode specifically, I felt was a little bogged down in the beginning of the episode. It's not that I didn't like it. I just felt like last episode ended on such like a big, like, I guess like a cliffhanger that this one, it kind of like came to a stop and was really slow at first. And again, it's not that I didn't like it. It felt really Indiana Jones, which I really liked. But I wanted more, like, quicker. And it built. It definitely got it built up. And where we get to in this episode, it's just absolutely nuts. And for those who haven't seen it, spoilers, Steven or Mark gets shot, or is it Steven? I can't remember which one it is.
Mark. I think the personality that was in effect when the shot happened was Mark. So
okay, so he gets shot and twice by Arthur, and all of a sudden he wakes up and he's in a mental institution. However, there's all these signs in the mental institution that are telling you, like, hey, this isn't real. But I think in a way they're also trying to tell you, like, kind of mess with your head, like, no, this is real. Obviously, I think, it's not real. I think it's all in his head, but I want to know what the ramifications of that are, because when the dynamic between Steven and Mark when they met and they were hugging, and it was like, oh crap, these two personalities are together on screen at the same time. I was like, that's pretty cool. And I liked how there was little references to every episode prior in some form or fashion, whether it was a character or, you know, an item or something, you know, like they had the little goldfish there. And then at the end, when the hippopotamus came in, that was the stuffed animal that was in episode 1. And it's just bonkers. The show is
kind of opposite parallels, but it kind of reminds me of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in a way, where he imagined everything with Zazie Beetz' character. Her name is escaping me, and it's like, can we really, like, obviously the episodes that happened beforehand, those events happened, but I think the point of that final 10-15 minutes was, is all this happening? Like, my guy woke up with a Moon Knight action figure like right next to him, so it's honestly really trippy, and I love it. I like that it not carries the same beat as what I just said with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, but it does lean into the more of the mentally ill aspect of the show that obviously has shed a lot of light onto it. And honestly, can't wait. Hopefully the series gives us a little more of a background in terms of how everything's happening and what's currently going on. But I love the twist, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
And the fact there's only 2 episodes left, and we know that it's only going to be a limited series. So for Emmy consideration, if you want to be considered to be a miniseries, to be awarded for a miniseries, you're not allowed to have a second season. And they put Moon Knight up for an Emmy for the limited series.
Really? I actually did not know that.
So that means we're not going to get a season 2 of Moon Knight. So where's this going? And I mean, at this point, I want to see more Moon Knight besides the next 2 episodes. So where's that going to go? I don't know. I really don't know.
One detraction that I do want to say, and this is not directed towards Moon Knight at all. This is directed, I feel like, towards a majority of Disney Plus's shows, but Disney Plus's Marvel shows at least. I need more. I feel like not each show, but each show seems, or not each show, but majority of the shows seem like they definitely could use a little more room to breathe. I think they've done a fine job with the episode counts that they've done for each show, but I definitely felt like Captain America and the Winter Soldier could have used maybe 2 more episodes. Moon Knight, I really do wish we can get like a full 10 episode season, especially since it's a limited time series. But I like what they do with the story, but I just, as a fan, wish that there was more content out there, and hopefully they think about that in the future. But obviously shows face problems with being too long, too short, so finding that middle ground is definitely something that's difficult for sure. But I could definitely use another 10 episodes of Moon Knight and be totally fine with it, honestly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's not like we're not going to get anything in the next few weeks once it ends. So, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But I mean, the question is to all of you out there, what have you thought of Moon Knight to this point? What did you think of this past episode? Leave your comments and your thoughts down in the comments, and let us all know.
One question for you. I don't know about you. I'm personally a little questioning the amount of time we've spent with the actual Moon Knight character. I feel like it's been really condensed, just the scenes that we've had with Moon Knight, with Mr. Knight. So just your thoughts on that. Is that something that is a detraction of the show, something that you actually like?
No, I think we've gotten a good amount of Moon Knight, especially the last few episodes prior to this episode. Like first episode, obviously we got none, and then the second, third episode, I felt we got a good bit of it, a bit of both Mr. Knight and Moon Knight. I hope that we get a bit more in the next 2 episodes, but I don't think it's anything that's hurt the show at all, because the dynamic is so much about Steve and Mark.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's just, I don't know. Maybe that's how I feel, at least. All right. So let's move on to the next thing, which was kind of shocking. I didn't think we were going to get this. Like, it kind of just popped up on my Twitter feed the other day. I was like, oh, all right, well, let's watch it. So we're not going to watch the trailer here. The last time I threw a trailer on here, we got hit with a strike, or not a strike, or whatever. YouTube's annoying sometimes, but I'm going to pull it up and we're just going to kind of talk about it, and we'll look through some of the scenes here. Now, what were your thoughts on this Thor trailer? Because I think everybody's really excited for Doctor Strange, but Thor is the movie that's coming out after that. So they need to start building hype for it. Do you think this teaser did that? Do you think it's kind of going to be overshadowed by Doctor Strange?
Well, obviously, we're going to have to wait and see with the events that unfold in Doctor Strange. But obviously, I feel like in this universe, we're at that point now where projects that move the universe forward in terms of storyline and major breaking storylines that affect the whole universe are the ones that are going to garner attention than the smaller projects. And I'm not saying that Thor Love and Thunder is a smaller project, but I think there's some attraction there given that it kind of continues Thor's story from Endgame. It continues the Guardians of the Galaxy story in a way. I've heard a lot of people say just from the trailer that this is going to be basically a Guardians of the Galaxy 2.5, which is something that could very well be. I personally disagree with it. I think they'll be in the beginning and then they will both, I think Star-Lord and Thor will both realize that this is better if we both go our separate ways, especially with Thor obviously teasing that he doesn't want to be a part of superheroing anymore. So I
don't think it's going to be more than like 10 minutes, 15 minutes max.
Yep, and I think that I think obviously with the way Ragnarok resonated with the fans, that obviously there's some extreme levels of excitement for it. But as we spoke about a little bit earlier, the direction of Thor moving forward is something that it could either hit with fans, miss with fans. It really depends on whether you like the Shakespearean Thor we were introduced to in this universe, or if you like the evolution that I'm going to butcher his name, but Taika Waititi put on the type of spin that he put on the characters. So it's really just up to preference, honestly. But I think obviously it'll be another Marvel banger, I guess, as you could say. So
yeah, I mean, you just kind of said it there. And for those of you who have watched the show or listened to the show for a number of years now, know that I'm not a fan of the goofy ass Thor that we've gotten. Now, Ragnarok wasn't too bad. It wasn't until, honestly, I feel like it wasn't until Infinity War and even more so Endgame where he became this mockery of what he was. Again, Ragnarok wasn't great for his character, but I do prefer what we got in the first Thor and even the second Thor. And I did a rewatch of the Marvel movies probably about 6-7 months ago, and I really enjoyed the second Thor movie way more than I did the first time I watched it. And it actually is not going to say it broke my top 10 of the Marvel movies, but I think it gets a lot of crap because of how dark it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really good movie. I do. I think it's definitely a good Thor movie. And I don't know. I think the reaction to that and how they wanted to go in a different direction with Thor, and Taika Waititi was the perfect person to do that and really change the way the character was. And it seems like they're trying to recapture that same tone from Ragnarok. And I will say it looks pretty.
Yep, definitely. It looks beautifully shot. I love that Marvel has accepted that comic book accurate costumes are a thing and things that fans love. I know it's a very quick snippet in the beginning, but I'm really digging his new costume. I love this Viking fur sort of ordeal that's going on. Obviously, strongest Avenger hat is probably one of the more funnier details you'll find there. That one is pure beauty, honestly. I love this costume.
I have a weird feeling that he chose this because of Captain Marvel. Because it reminds me of Captain Marvel, just the red, the blue, the gold,
and obviously their interaction in Endgame, and so definitely something that obviously references the past, but ripped straight from the comics. That scene, which is kind of crazy, I actually did not know that until
remove Korg, and that's exactly what was in the comics.
Yep,
that is
literally. Almost
the comics.
Somebody told me that the blood, even on the animal's nose, is even exactly right where it's supposed to be. So it's pretty cool, honestly. I like the direction it's going in terms of the look. Obviously, we're gonna have to wait and see. This I have a whole bunch of questions about. Probably a lot more simpler than I'm giving it credit for.
It's King Valkyrie.
Yep.
She's by King Valkyrie, It looks like from what I gathered from this teaser, it kind of seems like New Asgard has become like a Las Vegas, or not a Las Vegas, but
Disneyland.
a Disneyland, or
Yep.
it's an attraction for people to go see. And
Which is
I
kind
think
of hilarious, but
exactly. And personally, I think I take this little scene here with her is more of like, I don't want to be doing this. I'm a warrior. Like, I want to be out fighting, and that's kind of how I took that.
yeah, no, it's an interesting dynamic that is going to be introduced, and obviously Guardians of the Galaxy in this is going to obviously be hilarious because I feel like just the brief time they had in Infinity War, the ending of Endgame, you just really wish to see the Asgardians of the Galaxy, as Thor put it. So definitely going to probably see it in the beginning, but got Zeus over here in Olympus with the Greek
Olympus.
gods.
It's going to be interesting to see how they interconnect these Greek gods with the Norse gods
mythology. Yep.
And how does it work? Because so far now in the Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, we have Norse gods. We now have the Olympians. Then we have the Celestials. Then we have the Eternals. It's like we have all these godlike beings, and do they all know each other? Like, what is the story behind? Like, who runs what? How do they? I want to know, and I don't think we're going to get the answers here, but I would like to know. Or is this a flashback? Did the Olympians all die, and then the Asgardians took over? Like, what is it?
I think the trailer focused on what was supposed to be focused on, giving everybody what they wanted to see, obviously without revealing too much. Obviously the final 5 seconds of this trailer kind of is a big reveal in and of itself, but it's something that we knew. We just wanted to get a first glimpse at what the character was going to look like. I read today actually that in one of the descriptions for the movie that it is confirmed that Jane Foster does have cancer, and that it follows that part of the storyline in terms of her being Lady Thor or Mighty Thor, whichever one it is. And it's that's going to be interesting for sure. Obviously, it's been a little bit of an absence from Jane Foster, minus her extra footage cameo from Endgame, where I think that fans are probably going to welcome her back with open arms. Obviously, you have the select few that don't really see a point to Jane Foster's character, but I'm excited to see her back and see her obviously as Lady Thor is going to be epic to say the least. So there's very minor details in there that are exciting, like the Mjolnir is reconstructed, it looks like. So obviously it's going to lend from the past and kind of push this story into the future. So can't really wait to see how this plays out. It's coming up on us a lot more quicker than we even think, but it's going to hit us very soon. Yep.
3 months away, so we'll definitely get to see it soon. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Thor Love and Thunder trailer. Is it what you were hoping for? Do you like this Thor? Just let us know in the comments below. All right, moving on. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Man, I am looking forward to this. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. I was shocked earlier this year whenever they announced, hey, it's coming December 2022. I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. Well, we got some bad news. Unfortunately, the movie has been delayed, unfortunately. And it's been, wrong one. I just did that one. It has been delayed to, there we go. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, June 2nd, 2023. So 7 months almost, 6 months. It has been moved, with the sequel Part 2 being pushed back to March 29th, 2024. And this is coming from the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Twitter account, and this came out yesterday, a little late yesterday. Oh no, it actually was pretty early. It looks like. Wow, why didn't I guess nobody saw it until late, because I didn't hear about it until yesterday afternoon. So. Nobody noticed it until then, but
I think the reason that they cited for it, I think literally the response that was given was that they just needed more time to make it great. And I honestly can't wait. It's going to be, I actually have not seen the first one. I'm waiting to see, I'm literally waiting for some time to open up so I could see it. It's been on the top of my list for a while now, just as a suggestion from friends, peers, people from the culture nerds. So it's I've seen bits and pieces, but I haven't seen it as a whole together yet. And I am really intrigued by this. Do you think that we might come across some live action versions of Spider-Man in this, or do you think that's a little bit of a stretch?
I don't know at this point. I say anything is possible at this point, but I think they're going to stick with the animated route with it. I think because the first one was such a success,
Yep.
I think it'd be a risk to do something like that. But I guess we'll see. I mean, at this point,
I guess that's part of the Across the Spider-Verse in a way. So, do you think maybe live action could be pulled into the animated version of it, or
honestly, once we see Doctor Strange,
we'll get better. Yeah, and that's it's fascinating that movie has so many ramifications moving forward for not only the Marvel universe, but maybe even the Sony universe, a whole bunch of other stuff. So I guess that's a pretty well-informed answer on that one. So
yeah. Unfortunately, it got delayed, but I'm telling you, see the first one. It is fantastic.
Writing that down,
and I'm telling you right now. You're going to be sad that you didn't see it in theaters because it was a great theatrical experience.
Cool.
But throw down in the comments how you feel about Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse being pushed back 6 months. Just let us know. All right, going to move on now. And I really don't want to talk about this, but we kind of have to.
Neither do I. Do we really have to? This is starting to become a weekly thing, it looks like. So...
yeah. So Ezra Miller, I'm sure you've all heard, has been arrested again, or has a run-in with law enforcement in Hawaii for the 10th time. Can you believe it's been the 10th time in the last 2 months that he has had a run-in with the authorities in Hawaii? Why is he still in Hawaii? I don't know.
Paradise, but it doesn't really seem like it's paradise for him in a way. So.
But it comes down to this. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of what happened. You know, he threw a chair, hit somebody, they got a cut on their head, what have you. But the question is now coming up, what does this mean for the Flash film? Because he didn't do any of the promotion for Fantastic Beasts the last few weeks. They kept him away from that. We have a little more than a year until the Flash comes out, so he could get straightened out. But at this point, Warner Brothers Discovery hasn't said anything, and he's still in Hawaii, so he's not getting help that he needs. So what do you think this means for the Flash movie?
This has so many different answers and routes that this can go into, but personally, I just, as somebody that has seen it firsthand of people that could use help but don't utilize their immediate circle to utilize that, it's something that is kind of sad, honestly. It's you hear about the first time and you're just like, oh, he got drunk, whatever, this, that, and the other. But then you hear it consistently, and it's like he does have a problem, or maybe you're starting to insinuate that he actually does really have a problem, and it doesn't seem like the right set of people are around him. But to, I guess, immediately answer your immediate question, it's just interesting. They are so deep into this project that it's almost near impossible to recast this role for reshoots and stuff. So is it possible that maybe they add something at the end where the Flash kind of just changes his appearance in a way that I know fans have been clamoring for Grant Gustin to take over the main DCU? I will say this straight out right now, that is not going to work.
No.
That's just not, it's just, Grant Gustin's Flash does not have a cinematic feel to me. Maybe I'm not the one, maybe I'm on a small boat on that one, but obviously he hasn't promoted anything for the Fantastic Beasts movies. From what I've heard from those movies, also, I'm not really a big fan of those movies, but from what I've heard, his character's story kind of ended a little abruptly in that movie, so it doesn't really seem like he'll have an immediate future with the Fantastic Beasts franchise. But it's interesting, honestly. I think Warner Bros. Really has a problem. Yeah, it's we face so many problems with this cinematic universe in terms of the upper echelon of management meddling and stuff. But now you really have a main problem with one of your main cast stars in legal trouble left and right. And although the original charges were dropped, just giving a little bit of legal background on it, with the restraining order on the first couple that he, I guess, attacked being dropped. These things keep coming out left and right, and I just hope that he gets the help that he needs. But for the future of the Flash, It's going to be fascinating, honestly. I know that I guess, game plan is to kind of hide him, hope he kind of dies down in terms of the headlines, and hopefully they could get him rolling for for the rollout of the Flash. But at this point, it's really throw your hands up and say, who knows at that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people calling for him to be recast. I hear a lot of people saying that they should just throw Flash on HBO Max. I honestly, I don't have a feel for how Warner Brothers Discovery feels about this. I have no idea. And I think if and when they finally do come out and make a statement, we'll have a better idea of
What
how they
direction they'll
feel
be
or
going
what
in.
the
Yep.
direction is. Yeah. Because not only does this affect the Flash movie, but there's a movement going on that people have been pushing for quite some time, and that's to restore the Snyderverse movement. And how does this affect that? And I did a video and put it up this morning about that, about how it is quite possible that these antics, what he's doing, could destroy the possibility in having the Snyderverse restored. Zack is very loyal to his cast, and the Flash played a huge role in the story that he wanted to make. And if he doesn't get his shit together, if he continues to act like a jackass, we're not going to get the Snyderverse restored because Zack isn't going to recast him. Zack will just say, you know what? Warner Brothers doesn't want to work with him, which means he wouldn't be able to hire him because it's a Warner Brothers production unless he makes a deal with them. And if that's the case, we could just see Zack say, well, sorry, but no, I don't want somebody different. Not only that, we also have the Amber Heard stuff, but she was not as big of a part of the Justice League plans as Ezra Miller has been. So that could easily be, she could be written out of it or just not in it at all. That's fine. I don't think there's an issue there. But, you know, when it comes to the Ezra Miller stuff, that's the scary stuff right there. Being a fan of the Snyderverse and what we want to see. The Flash film, again, like you said, we're not going to get Grant Gustin. We're not putting Grant Gustin in. Not only that, but I don't think he would do well in the film. No. I don't think he could lead a film. But he hasn't even led his own TV show. It's been him and like 47 people every season.
Nope.
And could they recast? Absolutely. I think that's going to be the most likely. I think that they'll put the Flash movie out, and if he doesn't get his shit together, Flash 2 or whatever movie's next with the Flash, it'll be somebody else in that role.
If it does even warrant a sequel at that, because you just never really know. Obviously, the movie, take Ezra Miller's antics out of it, movie's already going to be. I'm just taking an educated guess here. It's going to be a very divisive movie. It's going to be depending on what fan base kind of gets the quote unquote W at the end of the day. But, just add this antics to it. And then, you don't really even know what really the future holds of that. Maybe if he can get his behavior together and clean it up in terms of being in the headlines 24/7, maybe they could talk about a future. But for right now, as you said, the Snyderverse is definitely in danger for sure. I don't foresee Zack doing anything without his original cast there. People may not think that one domino would affect the rest of it, but in reality, like you just said, Flash is probably one of the more integral parts of his 5-arc story. So if he can't have his vision of the Flash in a future where projects were released in that universe, Zack, he's the type that would probably throw his hands up and be like, listen, it's just not going to happen. I wish it did. Maybe one day in the far future, if Ezra does feel the urge to come back and everything's repaired with Warner Bros., maybe then. But for right now, as you said, unfortunately, it seems like this could very well be the nail that kind of seals the coffin on that one, which is kind of surprising because out of all the guesses that you would have done, you would have never thought that it would have been one of his cast members that torpedoed the Restore the Snyderverse movement. But here we are, so got to wait and see. So hopefully things can change and Ezra gets the help that he needs. But for right now, it seems pretty grim, honestly, unfortunately.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think about the Ezra Miller situation and how you feel about the Flash movie. Should it be canned? Should they recast? Should they reshoot? There's a lot of options they have. Not saying that they can do most of them, but let us know in the comments. All right, final thing that we're going to talk about before the main, and we're not going to take too much time because there's not much to talk about, but day one of Rebel Moon, it's begun. This was yesterday, 2 days ago, April 19th. Zach posted this, that Rebel Moon, his next film for Netflix, has begun. Principal photography. I gotta say, I mean, I'm excited about this. It was based off of a story that he wrote that he pitched to Lucasfilm for a Star Wars movie. They didn't want it, so he took it, he redid it, and it's his own IP now. Something, that Netflix thought, hey, let's go with it. I liked Army of the Dead. I wasn't a huge fan of Army of the Dead. It has a lot of flaws. It has a lot of, I think it was a little too long and that kind of stuff. I'm excited to see where that franchise goes, but this is more my style. This sci-fi aspect, sci-fi stuff. So what are your thoughts on this? Are you excited for it?
Zack Snyder posted 3 pictures of this movie. One of them was just of a character, and 2 of them were behind the scenes photos of, it looks like a vessel over there. But I'm already at 100% hype level for this movie. Like you said, this is kind of like his take on a Star Wars-ish type of franchise, and we'll delve into that momentarily. But just over these 3 pictures, excitement's already at a pretty high level. You already got the moody pictures of the characters that he's casted, and the cast, not for nothing, the cast is actually pretty stellar. If you take a deep dive into who's who in there, including Ray Fisher, including a couple of other people. So I think it's something that's going to be interesting. And for some reason, I have a feeling Lucasfilm will see this one day and be like, wish we could have given him an opportunity to, I guess, put an entry into the Star Wars universe. So it's going to be fascinating. I'm not too entirely sure. I don't know if you know, but is this going to be his second Netflix franchise, or is this just kind of like a one and done?
Third. I think it's third, because he's got Twilight of the Gods, which is an animated Norse mythology thing. Then
forgot about that one. Yep,
Dead series, and then he has this. But you were talking about cast, and yeah, I mean, it's got a Charlie Hunnam, Ray Fisher, Digimon Hansu, or however you say his name, who's pictured here. Yep. There's another cast member that has not been revealed who I know is in it. Let's just say he has worked with him in the past and was a big supporter of the Snyder Cut being released, and was all over the internet and podcast on the build up and lead up to that being released. So I'll leave it at that. But it's real exciting that he's in it as well. So, there's a lot of stuff going on with this film. I think it's going to be fantastic. Like I said, Zack Snyder, there hasn't been a Zack Snyder movie that I've not liked. There's been some that I'm not, like Sucker Punch.
Super fans, yeah.
It's a good movie. I watched it. I'll watch it if I see it, but it's not one I go out of my way to see.
Nope.
But again, that's how he is. And Army of the Dead's kind of the same for me. Like if I'm bored and I got nothing else to watch, I might throw it on if I want something to watch. But yeah, that's all. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I love the sci-fi aspect. I love Star Wars. So
you already know that it's going to look absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely.
So that's something to look forward to. And he's just continuing chugging on Netflix. So can't wait to see what's next on him.
All right, so let's move on to our main topic. All right, so for those of you who don't know, I also do a podcast called Shooting the Sith. We're actually going to be changing where the Shooting the Sith stuff is all going to be on the podcast feed for Bridging the Geekdoms, probably starting this week. I'm going to get rid of that podcast feed and just have it all one place. It won't change anything on YouTube. You'll still be able to find everything on YouTube under Bridging the Geekdoms as you have in the past. But we are going to talk about Star Wars today. It's been a while since we've sat down and talked Star Wars. I'm kind of excited about this because I love Star Wars. So what is next for the Star Wars saga? Now, May the 4th is just a couple weeks away. And again, I just thought it'd be a good idea to kind of sit down and take a look at what's coming, because we haven't had it. We've had the TV shows, but we don't have the hype that we used to have when a movie was coming out. And that always is what get people hyped. And right now, Lucasfilm does have 3 dates set aside for Star Wars films: December 22nd, 2023, December 19th, 2025, and December 17th, 2027. So over the next 5 years, there's 3 dates for 3 films to come out, which is exciting. But what could they be? That's kind of where we're at here. I mean, if you really want to think about it, the one that is the oldest that was announced that you would think would be next is Ryan Johnson's trilogy that he was going to create. Now, again, what I want to tell people is whether his trilogy happens or not, a lot of people were upset because they didn't like The Last Jedi. I'm somebody who I'm not a fan of The Last Jedi.
Wow,
but,
that's yep.
But when it comes down to it, I think Ryan Johnson, if you give him, he's a great writer, and if you give him the freedom of not being not continuing a story, a beloved story, if he's creating his own thing, I think it could be fantastic. And he's also not directing every single one. I think he was supposed to, if I remember from the announcement, I think it was that he was going to direct the first one and then get people to direct the second and third film of the trilogy. About 2 years ago, I heard that it was still on track to be made. But at this point, I have no idea, because that was 2 years ago. So I have no idea.
So I'm actually on the opposite end of you. I actually really enjoyed The Last Jedi. I actually thought it was the most, what's the word for it? The most interesting one out of the, I guess, newer trilogy that came out. I thought he took risk. I thought the risk kind of paid off. I think the problem with the Disney trilogy is that, as it's been said before, each movie contradicts itself, or it contradicts its predecessor in a way. So that's something that, you know, obviously doesn't really seem like Disney, Lucasfilm had a plan for this trilogy. So I'm actually I actually take the time period that's passed in between The Rise of Skywalker and what it looks like the next trilogy is going to be, or the next set of films that will be released, as kind of a positive thing. Maybe they're really trying to iron out the finer details and try to make this as successful as the Marvel Cinematic Universe and have a more set plan moving forward. So I kind of take the time period that's passed as a positive sign rather than negative sign. Obviously, as a Star Wars fan, I want things to be coming out left, right, left, right, left, right. But when it comes to their cinematic releases, I think they need to take their time with it, because it's pretty obvious that there was not a set plan in place for 7, 8, 9. And I just think that having the director of at least my favorite movie out of the newer trilogy kind of overseeing the, I guess, next set of films. I can't even tell you if it's going to be a trilogy, but I think it's something that's interesting. I think maybe delving into a different time period, maybe fast forwarding a long time from the ending of episode 9, or even going back to even before episode 1 is something that could be interesting. But I'm not too entirely sure if there's been rumors of what Johnson's trilogy was supposed to be about. We have a bunch of other projects that were announced that we kind of haven't really gotten followed up on, that we will obviously delve into. But I think the idea of Johnson overseeing a trilogy is obviously not what fans want to hear, because The Last Jedi seemed like it was the most divisive one out of all of them. But I don't know. I'm actually kind of excited, to be honest with you. But obviously, not only Johnson's trilogy has been announced, but we've got a whole bunch of other projects that have been announced that, while they're interesting and curious, we haven't really gotten a follow up with that. And I think, like I said, it kind of leads into the credence of what I said before, where it's like, listen, we tried to pump out movies every 2-3 years and it just didn't work. So let's take our time. Let's see what we can do. Obviously, I think they're going to kind of take a break from the main continuity of like the episodes that we've been accustomed to. That's just a guess on my end. I'm not reporting any official news, but I think focusing on different corners of the universe and then finding a way to come back to the main episodic timeline is something that would behoove them to do. But obviously they're a money-making machine and they just want to keep making episodes. And I'm sure that they're looking forward to episode 10, 11, and 12. So yeah, just got to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I have this weird relationship with The Last Jedi. To me, out of the sequel trilogy, it is the most Star Wars film that we got in the sequel trilogy, because I think it really understands Star Wars better than The Force Awakens or The Rise of Skywalker did. However,
which I felt like lent a lot of its story more towards nostalgia rather than just introducing newer nuances in terms of story. Which obviously every movie introduced something new, but I felt like 7 and 9 leaned more towards the history of Star Wars rather than what I thought 8 did, which was kind of do its own thing in a way, you know?
yeah, not that I didn't mind that. My problem is with that movie is there's no progression with the characters. They are in the same exact place at the end of the movie that they were at the beginning of the movie, and to me, that's an issue. I also am not. I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh, you shouldn't have killed Luke." Spoilers: you shouldn't have killed Luke. But after what happened with Carrie Fisher, they had an entire year to reformat the story. And they had a really good opportunity to have Leia killed off by her son early in that film. And it could have added an extra layer to Kylo Ren's
story and just overall character arc. Yep.
And they could have, it could have been a very simple thing. Like they could have just gotten Mark Hamill and said, okay, we're not going to have you die here. So you're going to stay alive. But we're going to kill Carrie Fisher's character Leia off. And all they would need to do is they wouldn't have to do too. Like I've watched that movie so many times that they could have gotten another character to fill in for Leia after that moment because she's only in like 5-6 minutes of the movie after that point. So it wouldn't have been a lot to do. And I think that's what they should have done because then it would have given a little bit more to J.J. Abrams come episode 9, or even maybe we would have then gotten Colin Trevorrow's script and he would have directed it because he wouldn't have had to find a way to write around Carrie Fisher being dead. And that was, rumor has it, that's what caused the issue and why he left and they brought J.J. back. So it's just, there's behind the scenes stuff, in front of the scenes stuff. It's just, they could have done better.
I think with the redemption arc that we see Kylo Ren go on towards the latter half of the film, I think killing Leia might have been something that just fans could not get behind. And even with his turn, and yeah, exactly. Yep. I think personally, they made a lot of mistakes in Rise of Skywalker, and that's pretty obvious. But I think that's something that he probably wouldn't have been able to get over with the fans with. And personally, I love Kylo Ren as a villain. His villainous moments, I feel like, are some of the more well acted scenes, and also some of the more highlightable parts of those movies. But they went the direction that they went in, and we're here now with what happened, and we're just gonna have to find a way to continue the story as it goes along. But I think killing Leia in that first scene would have cemented him as the villain of this trilogy, and maybe even, I think it would have been hard for him to overshadow Palpatine, but obviously definitely would have put him in the upper echelon of Star Wars villains, since we've gotten a bunch of them over the course of this 40-year, 50-year history. And I think it was a missed opportunity. Obviously, I think they played it extremely safe in that movie. They introduced interesting concepts with, Chewbacca, with the original thought that Chewbacca was gone, and then 5 minutes later, psych, he's there. And I think they just played it way too safe.
That was another problem I had with The Last Jedi, but we'll get into that. We'll maybe do an episode down the line here where we just talk, we go back and forth on the sequel trilogy. I did it with a couple of buddies about a year and a half ago, so I'd love to go back to it with somebody else here. But let's keep moving on here for what else is coming out, because we could still get the Rian Johnson stuff. Probably not, but we still could. But the only other one that was really being pushed and announced was Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. And that was announced way back in 2020, December of 2020. It was to introduce a new generation of fighter pilots, and it was supposed to be set after Episode 9. Then we had that whole thing where there was a discussion that she was backing out, that there were some disagreements with her and Lucasfilm. But then, or scheduling conflicts, that's what it was. It was their scheduling conflicts. But then she dropped Cleopatra, which she was supposed to be doing with Gal Gadot, which she's actually, I think Gal Gadot is doing now. And she dropped that. So that's kind of opened up her schedule. But I've also heard that she's working on Wonder Woman 3 right now, like the script. So not really sure what she's doing at this point, but it's interesting to, like, could this be the next one? Could this be the one that we get next December? Or
I think it's a fascinating premise, Rogue Squadron, honestly. I think given right direction, right writing, or the correct writing, and good cinematography is something that could lean extremely well into that movie. But Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy like a very specific image for their films, and that is not going to attract a lot of name. I mean, Star Wars brand will always attract name brand directors, but in the current world that we live in today, I do believe that meddling and studio meddling and things like that turns off directors nowadays. It's no longer, I want to direct a Star Wars film no matter what. It's, no, I want to have my vision for it. I will obviously tweak it to what Lucasfilm wants, but not completely overhaul my original ideas. And Patty Jenkins, as we know, is one of those directors that will refuse to be, for lack of a better term, stepped on and just being told 100% this is what's going to happen, just do it, or we're not going to move forward with your vision. And, I respect Patty Jenkins for it. Given the way Wonder Woman 1984 unfolded, I definitely think her attention should fully be on Wonder Woman 3, because we definitely could use a little bit of a redemption arc on that one. It's, I was looking forward to it when it was first announced, but now hearing that meddling kind of made her backtrack a little bit, not surprising, especially with her history with Warner Bros. Over there, or the formerly known Warner Bros. So I don't really blame her, but I hope it's a project that does see its full potential, because I do think it's an interesting premise and something that's a little different than we've been given before in the past. So I hope it does get made, but like with most of these projects, it's a wait and see approach, because we just have no idea, honestly.
Next one that we could get that isn't Patty Jenkins is Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie. I believe he was actually announced either right before or right after Patty Jenkins was announced to be doing a film, and nothing is really known about it except that Christy Wilson Cairns, who wrote Last Night in Soho for Edgar Wright, she's going to be co-writing this film. I think it's interesting. I know I sat there and said, "Oh, I don't like his Thor." I think, let me say first off, what was the movie? The Nazi one, the kids' Nazi Jojo Rabbit. Yep. That movie was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It had heart. It was funny, and it was heartbreaking.
Yep.
It was so good. If he can bring that to the Star Wars universe, the franchise, bring it on, man. Bring it on.
He has quite an expansive talent for writing and directing, and given the right material, given the right content to write about, I think it could work. Obviously, I think with Thor Ragnarok, we can kind of see that he is very in tune with I guess the cosmos of space and stuff. So it will obviously another concern of, not a concern of mine, but guarantee that I would guarantee if this film ever gets officially announced, is that it will look beautiful for sure. It's just a matter of what the story is going to be about, what characters would we even be introduced to, what corner of the Star Wars universe would this even take place in. But I think not a straight out comedy, but something that has a little more levity to it would be something new for Star Wars, honestly. And I think it's something that because the cartoons, the animation has some levity and comedy to it, and obviously you have R2D2, C3PO, BB-8, and stuff like that. But I think you're right. I think that he could bring a certain comedic aspect to Star Wars that we haven't seen before, which I hope works. I do, because I do like Taika Waititi. I think he's a good director and underrated actor.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, don't forget he was the co-star of the greatest hit, 2011's Green Lantern. So
obviously. So but I think introducing new material and new genres into this is something that is a note that they should take from Marvel. Marvel has fully embraced the craziness of the multiverse, the supernatural side of things. So I think Star Wars kind of taking a page from that and kind of introducing new genres into this universe can't hurt it. Obviously, I think with one of the next projects that we'll talk about is Kevin Feige's Star Wars film, which is, listen, if that was ever to get announced, I'm front row in line to see what's going on, because Kevin Feige, like us, is a fan. So,
you know, my worry with that is because I think that, you know, when they announced that Kevin Feige would be working on a Star Wars project, I think that was all, like, that was the intention. But I think he's just so damn busy with Marvel. I don't know how he would have the time to do it. Is he right? And we don't know the details. Was he just going to produce it? Was he going to write it? Was he going to, would it be his first directorial debut? Like, what was it, or what is it that he was going to do with this film? And what was the idea? I maybe it does happen still. Maybe it does. But at this point, I think because we have one more to talk about, out of the 5 projects, I think this is the one that is least likely to happen within those 3.
And that's just due to him overseeing everything that's going on in Marvel right now. Yeah. So I don't blame it. It would be really interesting, and I think just off of name recognition itself, it would garner a lot of interest from different areas in Disney's platform. So I think it would be a very lucrative option for them to do. But I think I'm with you on this one. I think it's the least likely to happen. So
yeah. Now, there's another one that I was doing my research, kind of, you know, just getting that way I would have dates and everything all squared away. And I took a look and I was like, what is this one? And there's a director by the name of J.D. Dillard, who I don't even know who he is. Yeah. But back in February, there were reports that came out that said that J.D. Dillard, who is best known for the film Slate, I don't know. He's working on a feature-length project with the Luke Cage and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. scribe Matt Owens. And then after THR, the Hollywood Reporter, said this, Deadline then came out and said that the movie will be set on the planet of Exegol, which was last seen in The Rise of Skywalker, which was the Sith planet. I had no idea about this at all until I was doing my research here.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I did not even. We were going over the show's notes earlier in the day. I read this and I'm just like, where the hell did this come from? I don't even really remember it being announced. I don't even really remember.
I don't think it's been officially announced, because I mean the Hollywood Reporter, they're trusted, right, and they're the ones that stated. And then Deadline, who's another trusted they came out and they're like, we're looking like it's going to take place on Exegol, which I'm all for. I'm all for them shifting some focus onto the villains and kind of taking a look at their villains a bit more. And I think it could be really interesting. And the fact that they have this much information is out there, I wouldn't be surprised if this is either the first or second on that movie slate, or, you know, release dates to come out. Because, you know, like I said, December 2023 is just a year and a half away, a little more than a year and a half away. Yeah, if they started filming this summer, if it's not a huge project, they could get it done in time. They surely could. But we're seeing production times and projects getting pushed back right now because the VFX studios, they don't have the manpower to keep up. So that's why, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what project could get done? There's, as far as we know, nothing is filming right now.
And it would be so awesome if they were just to drop something on May 4th in terms of just like a trailer for like what's coming out in 2023. Obviously that is like less than 1% happening, but
I mean, let's not forget that we have Star Wars Celebration kicking off on May 26th.
Okay.
So that's going to be an entire weekend full of Star Wars Celebration and announcements and everything like that. I think then is when we're going to know they are going to announce the next Star Wars movie is this.
Blank. Yep.
I think that is when we're going to get that announcement. Whether they keep that December 2023 date or maybe they push it back to May 2024 or whatever, I think that's what we're going to get information-wise at Star Wars Celebration. But again, it's really crazy to think that, you know, they have these dates set and there's as far as we know, nothing is in pre-production. It's nuts. And that's not to say that they aren't doing stuff, because take a look at Disney Plus. Disney Plus, we got Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out at the end of May, which I'm hearing that May 4th, we're going to get a full trailer for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. They are going to release a full trailers from what I'm hearing. So on May 4th, we get a full trailer to finally get us hyped, like fully hyped for that show, to give us an idea of what it's going to be about. That's great. But at that point in time, we don't have, we have an idea of when things are coming out. There's rumor that Andor is going to come out in the summer. So that could be June to August. Bad Batch is supposed to come out in July. Bad Batch season 2 is July. Then we have The Mandalorian season 3, which I've also heard could be summer. So if they do Andor early summer, then that would be Mandalorian late summer. And then we have the following year, we got Ahsoka. We have the Lando series, which I'm looking forward to, especially if Donald Glover's back at
100%. Yep.
In the role. And then we got the Acolyte, which has just recently started its production. So we have a lot of projects that are going on and about to come out, but it's all going to Disney Plus.
Yep.
We also have a droid story, which I couldn't care less about, but it's all going to Disney Plus. And look, I love Star Wars, and just keep giving me content. I'm going to eat up Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm going to eat up the Bad Batch season. I'm going to eat it all up. But to me, Star Wars is a theatrical experience.
Yeah,
we need those
110%. Yep. I'm looking forward to the Andor series. I'm looking forward to the Ahsoka series. I'm also looking forward to the Mandalorian season 3. Obviously, a lot of storylines need to get followed up in a bunch of those shows. My personal favorite is going to be Obi-Wan. I just love the character from the prequel series. I just love Ewan McGregor's iteration of the character. I think that's quite literally going to be his life role, and I honestly just can't wait to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of these other projects are a little more on the lesser known side. Like the droid one was something that I tried to do a little more research on before I popped up with you about 10 minutes before the show started, and personally speaking, it depends on what the story would be about, but I think it'd be something that'd be interesting, honestly. It'd be an interesting dynamic switch to go from always human leads to, a droid lead, which should be, I don't know, I forgot the droid's name is escaping me from Rogue One, but if something was like a comedy show like that, that'd be hilarious to me. So it'd be interesting.
K2?
Yeah, I think so. I'm relying on you for that one. So,
the one that I am a little upset about is Rangers of the New Republic. I was actually really looking forward to that show. That was going to be the one that was led by Gina Carano, and then we know what happened there, which
with everything,
completely against the way they handled that. But that's besides the point. So I'm kind of upset. I wish they would find a way to kind of figure out a way to get that to come out. Maybe they will at some point. But we got. Ahsoka still, which I'm really looking forward to. I love the Ahsoka character. I can't believe how much I fell in love with that character over the years of watching Clone Wars, then Rebels, and then The Mandalorian, and so on. I think that they've got. I've also heard that they're doing a second season of Visions, also, which I thought Visions was really cool. But we've got a lot coming. It's just really going to be interesting on how they handle it, and I think the biggest thing is fan reception, because the sequel trilogy divided the fans more
so
than
much.
I've ever seen them divided before. And I think Obi-Wan is kind of a great step in the right direction, because the Mandalorian
kind of like an I'm sorry, let's give you a fan. Yep.
Yeah, the Mandalorian did a good job in bridging the prequel fans with the original trilogy fans, but it hasn't quite grasped and got a hold of the sequel trilogy fans yet. And I don't think Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to do that either. But I think it's what they're trying to do at this point is they're really going to try and okay, let's get these fans that have been fans since 1977. Let's get them back into this and say, let's put the sequel trilogy behind us and move forward. I kind of think that's the way they're going to move with this. And
which is smart.
I'm not saying they're erasing the sequel trilogy, but because take a look, Rogue Squadron, that's going to take place. That's going to be, the aftermath of what happened in the sequels. So I think this is just a way to get those people who didn't like the sequels back into it, because you take a look, even Ahsoka, Andor, that is, Rogue One is a huge fan favorite film. Lando, like all these projects that are coming, they are all separate from they're disconnected from the sequel trilogy almost completely.
Yep.
The Acolyte takes place before the prequels did. So a lot of this stuff is like, look, we're going to get the fans of the Old Republic in with the Acolyte. We're going to get the prequel trilogy fans in with Kenobi. We're going to get the original trilogy fans in with Andor. I mean, they've got to figure it out on how to do this. And I think this is, while it's been crickets, it has been crickets. I think they're doing right now by the way they're handling the franchise.
Spinning off of popular franchises is obviously the formula to keeping your fans. So I think with the projects that are coming up with fan favorite characters, they're doing it the right way. But I really want to know what their theatrical plans will be. So whether it's far, far away in the past or far, far away in the future, I think that's something that they have to consider just to separate themselves from what happened. So, like you said, I've never really seen a fan base more divided after a set of movies than these past 3 movies that just came out. So they definitely have a lot of repairing to do, but I think they are taking steps in the right direction for some of the future projects that they have on hand.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you think of Star Wars. I'm excited to see what's coming from this franchise. Let's get the stink of the sequel trilogy away from us and go from there. And don't get me wrong, I want to see them continue Rey's story, Finn's story, Poe's story. I do want to see them continue their storylines. But I think let's kind of get away from that for a little bit. Let's dive in. Let's go back a little bit and let's see where everything takes us. And what happens to Grogu? Why isn't he in the sequel trilogy? Let's find that out.
I think me personally, if I'm Kathleen Kennedy, I think I'm going to be doing the next trilogy set in the past in terms of setting it in the glory of the Jedi. So that's personally what I would do.
They don't need to do a trilogy. They could do a whole bunch of just single movies that are set in the Star Wars universe for the next 10 years, and I would be happy with that. And even if they wanted to continue the Rey story, they could do 1 movie, and that's it. They could do 2 movies, and that's it. They could do 10. I don't care. But, just make a good story. I don't want them to think that they're beholden to, well, we got to make a trilogy. Well, we got to make a trilogy. We got to make a trilogy, because that's where you get into the issues that we got in with the sequel trilogy. Just make a good movie. If you're able to do a sequel off of it, go for it. If not, move on to the next thing. That's all they have to do.
Bottom line, as a Star Wars fan, give me more Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon and give me a lot more of Hayden Christensen's prime Darth Vader.
Did you hear about Liam Neeson's comments?
Yes, he's a little above Disney Plus. He is only a cinematic and theatrical sort of actor, which I actually really like. Kind of an old school way of thinking, but I actually kind of agree with in a way. There are just some characters that deserve cinematic treatment versus, I guess, smaller screen treatment. But let's just say I am over 99% sure he's going to be in the Obi-Wan show. He's pulling an Andrew Garfield right now. So. I could totally see it, and I welcome it completely. I think one of those characters that we would love a follow-up on, and maybe one day in the future we will get it. So gotta stay tuned and find out with Lucasfilm over there and Kathleen Kennedy's future plans.
All right, everyone. So let us know your thoughts on everything Star Wars. Are you excited? Are you not excited? What are you looking forward to? Throw all that in the comments below. And before we get going, I do want to just say, hey, if you haven't seen our latest interview, I did an interview with John Engel from Three Rivers Comic Con. Three Rivers Comic Con is going to be held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, June 4th and 5th. I'm going to be there. Colton from the show is going to be there. So make sure if you get a chance to head out to it, it's June 4th and 5th, David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Check out the interview I did with John Engel. It was a great discussion for sure. We have some other interviews coming up here very soon. I'm going to be talking with a couple cosplayers. I'm going to talk to one cosplayer. Colton has one with a comic book creator. So we got some interviews coming up here, so I'm looking forward to that. So keep your eyes open for that.
And I'm working on a couple of different things with the Culture Nerd, so stay tuned for that. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but things are trending in a positive direction in terms of interviews with a couple of people from the Culture Nerd. So stay tuned for that one.
And then next week, because it'll be our last show before Doctor Strange is actually released, because we're doing Thursday shows right now. Next week, we're going to talk Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and talk about theories, our theories, your theories, everybody's theories on what we think is going to happen in this absolutely crazy movie. I can't wait. So, so that'll be next week's show. So make sure you tune in for that. You got anything else, man?
No, other than I'm obviously the perfect replacement for the mighty Thor. Other than that, those are my closing comments to, I guess, bring it full circle. So
excellent, man. Well, thanks for coming on today. Oh, I mean, you've been here every week now for a while, so yeah, you haven't missed a show. I don't think. No, awesome. You did miss one.
Yes, just one, but we're not going to count that.
We're not going to count that one. We're not going to count that. But all right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe for more from me, from Kenneth right over there, and Bridging the Geekdoms. With all that said, talk to all of you later.
Have a good night, guys.